Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's been a long time since I've actually filmed anything, so I just want to do a quick intro to say I guess welcome back to me, but also to you if you're watching. I'm going to be starting to post some more videos lately, like, 'cause it has been a long time. It's been 4 years since my last video, which is not acceptable. I want to start doing this more often. But hopefully if you keep watching, you're going to see how I did this look here. And just a disclaimer, like, I'm not a professional makeup artist, but I do love makeup so much and I would love to be able to make this my passion. So yeah, we'll see how we go. But please stay tuned for more. Thanks, bye. I'm gonna start with my face first, do some foundation and whatnot. So personally, I use just a little bit of primer. Not that it makes any difference in the world, but it just makes me feel better because it feels like I've done something to my face beforehand. I've actually been spraying my face before I put my foundation on, so I'm going in with the Maybelline Master Fix spray, just spraying it all over. I just found that lately when I've been wearing makeup, it seemed to last a lot longer, which is really nice. I'm going to be mixing two shades together. So the first one is the Life Proof Longwear Foundation from M.I.A in the shade Porcelain. So this shade is actually usually really good just on its own for me, but I've been spending a bit of time out in the sun, so I'm actually going to be mixing it a little bit with the Revlon Colour Stay. It's a combination oily because I tend to be more oily, especially in that T-zone. This color is, oh, sorry, this shade actually is the Sand Beige. And so just on the top of my hand, doing like a squirt and a bit of the M.I.A one. And I did like the, I don't know if you can see that, but like a small squirt of the Revlon. I'm going to be using the Real Techniques like rounded sort of dense fluffy brush and use that on mixing the shades together. So just have been really liking how the brush buffs it into my skin lately. I do like to buff it into the hairline because I've got some sparse areas in there, like around these ears, down here. Buff it all through there. And I go over my eyes a little bit too, which is fine because I use concealer a little bit later anyway. And then anywhere if I don't see it's blended in really well, I'll either dab it like this or do like little swirls until I'm pretty happy with it. I especially like dab it around my chin because it's where it'll just sort of sit on the skin the most. So keeping in mind this is nothing that you have to do at all. This is just what I like to do. Going to go in with a concealer. I don't conceal a lot, but this is actually the Designer Brands concealer. Designer Brands Take Cover Mineral Concealer in the shade Nude. And all I'm actually doing, well, I am gonna use like a very small sort of more foundation brush to blend it in because I don't use a lot, but I like to put a little bit in the inner corners and just like that outer sort of edge there. I actually got that makeup tip from someone else I saw on TikTok. I will try to find his name and I'll put it down in the description because I mean he actually knows what he's doing. I'm not a qualified makeup artist, but I still very much enjoy it. But just blending that in softly. now, the designer brands one, because this is like a, it's kind of like a more matte finish that it does, which I actually like, because it means I don't have to set a whole bunch of powder. It actually dries quite quickly, so because of that, you've got to tend to work fairly fast. And then I just have like the little pimple spots down here that I'll just go over a tad, but I'm going to put on the back of my hand instead of straight to the face. And use the brush to conceal them a little bit. It won't be perfect, it'll just help with that redness. Again, just show you a close-up. So I've still got freckles coming through, you can see I have pimples, I still have some redness. Just, these are one of those days that I don't necessarily mind having, you know, texture and like my natural skin tone coming out, because to be honest, that's my skin. It's just the way it is. Nobody has perfect skin. Alright, so next thing I tend to do first is bronzing, contouring, blush, highlight. Because of the way that I do it, I actually like to do it before I do my eyebrows. So just going to use a nice angled brush. My brushes aren't anything fancy. Honestly, you can use inexpensive brushes. You don't need big fancy brushes, as long as like you just practice and then you get used to it, and then do your makeup how you like to do it, because it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. Okay, so I'm going in with the Revlon Sculpt and Highlight. Actually, it's probably a little bit old and I should be throwing it out, but I got this when Chloe Morello was actually partnering with Revlon for this particular palette. So I'm going to use the Sculpt shade first. So like a lot's on the brush, but I always just brush it off. And I actually start higher than what most other people would. So typically people will go bring it in there, but I want to go up a little bit further. Again, it's a preference of what I like. And most people wouldn't actually bring it so far down as well, but again, it's what I like. And then I do all my face framing pieces, it's my whole face. Brush it into that hairline, because again, I'm more sparse in those areas, so I just fill it in. And even like this jawline here, bring it down a bit, because you know, you gotta at least attempt to try and get rid of that double chin. Alright, and same thing on the other side. I just get a little bit more and I just go straight down my nose. I don't contour my nose, I don't do anything fancy, I just sort of go straight down and move it around as I actually like it. Honestly, it doesn't do too much. To me, it just adds a little bit of shape. Add it anywhere you want. Okay, with the same brush though, I will be going in with that bronzing shade, which is this one here underneath that banana shade. And I sort of do exactly where I just went, but I kind of like bring it over my eyes, into that forehead, even down the side of my face, down here. And like, yes, on my eye as well. Just because like I like it, I like that shading that it brings in here. So the other side. I've been really loving using Maybelline Master Highlight, this particular blush. I don't know why, I have a few different ones, but I tend to lean more towards this. But now with like a more rounded, less dense, fluffy brush, I'll actually use that, pat it into the shade. And then I don't go to the apples of my cheeks. I will sort of start back here and bring it down. And you'll see in just a second how I do that. Just patting. And then I buff it in. Buff it into the skin. This isn't the standard way that most people do their makeup, but honestly, it's how I like it. It's just like a nice little pink. I'll even go in with a little bit more if I'm not exactly 100% happy. But I don't know if you can tell, but I can see it in the viewfinder. It's just like a nice subtle pink here, and I'm going to do the same on the other side. I don't like to bring it too close to here because personally I don't like to enhance that I have huge cheeks, because I already have them. And do the same to the other side. Starting at the top, bringing it down. Now, highlight, I'm using a slightly more tapered brush for my highlight. And I am going to use that highlight shade that is in the Sculpt and Highlight Contour Kit. This one up here. As you can see, I've hit pan. I know, I've used a lot of it. I like highlight. Just placing it. How I think of it is it's kind of like an arrow that's, you know, pointing that way. But I run it through my eyebrow, because it does actually get just above the eyebrow too. So through the eyebrow and down over that cheekbone. Same thing to the other side. Some up and down the nose. And then top of the lip. Perfect. So that is essentially the whole base done. I think what we'll do is eyebrows, eyes, and then lips. Okay, I'm going to zoom you guys in a second, but this is the eyebrow palette I've been using. It's called Brow Spectrum from Zoeva. And my go-to shade, it does depend, like sometimes if my hair's a day or two old from a wash, it needs to go a little darker. It's my own preference, but I tend to go to like the shade here. It looks really light in the palette, but it actually tends to go a little bit darker on the skin. Alright, I'm going to bring you in closer now. Okay, perfect. So, brushing through your eyebrows first. Figuring out what shape you want. So I'm going into the brow powder. I will always sort of start this area here and fill it in that way, and then I'll start to bring it up towards the front. Okay, that is the eyebrows done. nicely filled in with some brow powder. I'm going to set them with some gel. I'm using a tinted brow gel that I just got online. Anything that you use is fine. Alright, moving on to the eyes now. Just showing you I'm going to be using the Maybelline Fit Me Concealer to prep my eyes. Going in with another Real Techniques, it's still slightly angled brush to move it around. So going into the eyes now, I'm using a concealer, popping that all over. I'm going to actually be using the Australis Fresh and Flawless Pressed Face Powder, but for my eye. So again, I'm just going to buff these out, make sure there's no creases. So first shade I'm going in with, it's going to be more of a neutral shade for the transition. So I like to buff it in, blend it all in, even like going into that brow bone area up here. I'm gonna go in with some new shades from my favorite palette, which is from Zoeva, called the Caramel Melange. I'm not sure if any of these palettes are still actually being made, but doesn't mean you can't also use similar shades. So the shade I'm going in with is Universal Delight. With a slightly smaller blending brush, I'm going to go in with a slightly darker shade called Alchemy. And this one, I'm going to start putting in this area here and bringing it through. Don't forget to blend it out till you're happy with it. Same brush, we're going to use a darker shade and then start to darken up this outer corner. So this one is Finish Sensual. And then a slightly darker shade and a slightly smaller brush. I'm going to be using the shade Edible Gem. Let's hope it doesn't go bad. Blending between each shade adjustment too. So it still looks a little crazy, but when you put everything else together, so like a really nice shade here, which I feel like I want to do, I want to use a shade Liquid Center. I'm actually going to use my finger first to put it in. Quite generous, like packing it on all over with a fresh clean blending brush, just to soften those edges. A flat brush, just pack that. So next thing to do is the lower lash line. So I'm going to use a brush like this. It's more dense, short and slightly packed for smudging. I'm going to go in not with a lot of shades, just a few. So I just want to use the Universal Delight shade that we used as transition earlier on the top, down the bottom, so it's going to be easier to blend. I'm going to go in with Alchemy. And then Edible Gem, that really dark shade, onto the outer portion. You can see the difference that makes. Okay, so in a moment I will be back after I put some eyelashes on and mascara, and then we'll finish up with the lips. Okay, so I'm back with the mascara, eyelashes. I even popped a little bit of eyeliner on the top lash line. I decided I wanted to go for something a little crazy with my eyelashes to sort of match with the look, and I'm pretty happy with that. Okay, but now is the time that I'll be doing my lips. And we're going to be lining them first. Just need a drink of water. So I've chosen this Milani lipstick. It's a bullet lipstick that I'm going to be using. Just says 80 Matte Dreamy. I don't know if you can see very well, but that's a shade. And obviously I've just picked a lip liner so I can line my lips. This one is a ColourPop one. So I'll get started lining my lips. I'm going to slightly overline the outer edge of my lips, but not like the center parts here. That's what it looked like before. Now, lipstick. Now that everything is done, I'm going to set it again and just using this Master Fix stuff. Spraying it all over. Perfect. Oh, actually, I forgot one thing. I forgot a little inner highlight. And so, I'm actually using the Hustler Baby shade from Fenty Beauty. A little bit of that on the inner corner. Oh yeah, that makes a big difference. Wonderful. Okay, so that is the look all done. Perfect. Okay, thank you guys for watching so much. Hopefully you'll be seeing more videos rolling out soon. I'm going to aim for having videos out every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, so 3 times a week. So stay tuned for more. Thanks. Bye.